From the enormous Godzilla shark to dinosaurs in the Arctic, here are 10 amazing prehistoric creatures. Number 10. Largest mammal ever. It's hard for people to imagine a creature much bigger than the ones we have today, but the world was once full of massive monsters, and you may be surprised to learn that not all of them were dinosaurs. One was an ancient rhinoceros called the Resurrected, which lived throughout modern-day Asia between 34 and 23 million years ago. There are 6 known species of these prehistoric giants, with the largest among them measuring more than 20 feet tall at the shoulder and weighing over 20 tons, making Resurrected the largest land animal that's ever lived. The animal's head alone was around 4.5 feet long, and it measured 26 feet from head to tail. These gargantuan rhinos were hornless predecessors of today's rhinos, who developed horns much later on in the evolutionary timeline. They dwarfed modern-day rhinos and elephants, and even the massive woolly mammoths that lived during the last ice age. It was one of the last remaining giants to walk on Earth, according to scientists. It outlived other massive animals amid climate change, resulting in a drier atmosphere during the Oligocene epoch. Scientists recently published a study describing Resurrected remains that were discovered in northwestern China's Gansu province in 2015. Dubbed Resurrected lingjiense, the new species was not the largest of them all, but it was nevertheless gigantic, especially by modern standards. Number 9. Coelacanth. Nicknamed living fossils, coelacanths are primitive-looking deep-sea fish that scientists had long believed went extinct around 65 million years ago when the dinosaurs died out. But they learned otherwise in 1938 when a live specimen was discovered off the African coast. There are 2 known coelacanth species, and experts think these ancient deep-sea dwellers, who have been around for an estimated 400 million years, represent an early evolutionary stage of fish transitioning into terrestrial animals, according to National Geographic. Found at up to 2,300 feet below the water's surface, coelacanths are both slow-growing and slow-moving. They can grow to more than 2 meters in length and weigh as much as 90 kilograms. Scientists originally believed that coelacanths had a lifespan of somewhere between 20 and 60 years, but a recent study by French researchers found that they can live to be over 100. Females reach sexual maturity during their late 50s, and pregnancies are thought to last around 5 years. Can't imagine what that's like. According to The Guardian, males become sexually mature between 40 and 69 years old. The coelacanth's long reproductive cycle does not bode well for its future. These fish are extremely endangered, and their slow gestation cycles do little to revive the rapidly disappearing population. Unfortunately, this living fossil may not survive for much longer. Number 8. Resurrected worms. Scientists in Siberia recently resurrected microscopic worms called Deloid rotifers after they spent 24,000 years in a state of nearly completely arrested metabolism, also known as cryptobiosis. They're one of several prehistoric life forms that have been revived after thousands of years frozen in permafrost, including a type of Antarctic moss that was regrown from a 1,000-year-old specimen, a 32,000-year-old campion flower, and nematodes, simple worms, from 30,000 years ago. While it's unlikely that larger creatures will ever be brought back to life, experts have proven that it's possible for small, multicellular organisms to survive for several millennia in a frozen environment, according to researcher Stas Malavin, who spoke with CNN. Once thawed, Deloid rotifers were able to feed and readily reproduced. A new study describes how scientists slowly thawed and froze modern-day rotifers and discovered that the microscopic creatures can withstand this process, indicating that their organs and cells are somehow protected from damage in the extreme cold. Number 7. Godzilla shark. A 300 million year old fossil dubbed the Godzilla shark was just formally named after being discovered in New Mexico during 2013. Recently dubbed Dracopristis hoffmanorum, or Hoffman's dragon shark, the 6.5-foot long aquatic beast had 12 rows of sharp teeth and 2.5-foot long spines, hence its intense nickname. Named for the family who owns the land it was discovered on, the Hoffman's dragon shark lived when what is now New Mexico was submerged by a vast sea that covered much of Northern America. Known as the Western Interior Seaway, paleontologist John Paul Hodnett, who discovered the fossil, believes that the species lived in shallow coastal waters where it fed on crustaceans, fish and smaller sharks. Furthermore, he pointed out that its teeth were likely used for crushing rather than piercing its prey. The fossil represents the most complete specimen ever discovered within its evolutionary branch, which broke away from modern sharks roughly 390 million years ago and went extinct roughly 60 million years later, according to Associated Press. It's also the largest shark from its time period ever found in New Mexico, as Spencer Lewis, the curator of paleontology at the New Mexico Museum of Natural History, pointed out. Most ancient sharks are only identifiable by their teeth and vertebrae, as their cartilage skeletons tend to deteriorate over time, making the Godzilla shark an incredibly rare example of preserved prehistoric life. What do you think about the Godzilla shark? Let us know in the comments below, and if you're liking this video, be sure to hit the thumbs up and subscribe buttons if you haven't already. Number 6. Birdlike dinosaur. Late last year, scientists in Germany confirmed that a 120 million year old fossilised dinosaur represents a new and very unique species, named Ubirahara gigantus. Discovered in the Lower Cretaceous Crato Formation in northeastern Brazil, this chicken-sized creature was covered in a moss-like material that researchers initially assumed was algae, but it was actually more similar to furry feathers. The dinosaur, which roamed the Earth around 110 million years ago, had two stiff, ribbon-like projectiles that were used for mating, rivalry, or intimidation purposes. Yet experts don't even know whether the specimen is a male. Based on its elaborate plumage, they believe it may have performed a fancy mating dance and that it was able to move its mane using muscles similar to those that porcupines use when they raise their spine. Lead study author Robert Smith claims that these feathers may have helped the creature survive, and the researchers pointed out that the species represents the first non-avian dinosaur ever found in the Crato Formation. The discovery attracted heavy criticism from Brazilian scientists who questioned the legality of the fossil's export to Germany in 1995 and called for the study's removal from the Cretaceous Research Journal's website. Meanwhile, study co-author Eberhard Frey argued that the fossil was transported to Germany with a Brazilian official's blessing, but he also said that he was eager to negotiate a solution with Brazilian scientists. Number 5. Lystrosaurus. Around 270 million years ago, when the supercontinent Pangaea still existed, a peculiar-looking creature roughly the size of the dog, named Lystrosaurus, evolved into existence. Resembling a hybrid between a lizard and a pig, this tusked burrowing animal had powerful front legs and a snub-nosed face, according to National Geographic. But the Lystrosaurus was not only unique in appearance. Around 250 million years ago, it was one of very few life forms to survive the worst mass extinction that ever occurred on Earth, caused by a massive 1,000-year-long volcanic eruption in what is now Siberia that released copious amounts of carbon into the atmosphere. The extinction was characterized first by a cooling period, then by a devastatingly heavy greenhouse effect, along with the acidification of the oceans. Lystrosaurus hailed from a group of mammal-like reptiles called therapsids, which eventually evolved into mammals. Its ability to spend long periods underground and to take in oxygen even amid the heavily contaminated air thanks to its heavy-duty lungs are likely what enabled the creature to survive at a time when 95% of the world's life forms died out. Lystrosaurus fossils have been found in Africa, China, and Antarctica, bolstering the belief that the continents were all once connected. These goofy-looking animals also travelled great distances on foot, and it appears as though they fled south when the volcano erupted, getting as far away from it as they possibly could. And they didn't just survive through the mass extinction, but they also actually thrived amid the devastation and recovery that took place following the catastrophe. A 2020 study analysing the animal's tusks found that hibernation may also have played a key role in Lystrosaurus' survival. After migrating to Antarctica, the creature had to adapt to a months-long period of cold and darkness. Its ability to do this spared it from having to head back up north to a far more inhospitable and deadly environment. While researchers haven't proven that the Lystrosaurus hibernated, if their suspicions are correct, it would mean that it's the oldest known evidence of vertebrate hibernation. Number 4. Adoletherium. Around 66 million years ago, a prehistoric mammal known as Adoletherium, or crazy beast, lived alongside dinosaurs and massive reptiles that dwarfed even the largest modern species. Hailing from the Gondwanatheria group of mammals, it lived on the supercontinent Gondwana. Fossils of the creatures have been found in modern-day Argentina, India, Africa, Antarctica, and Madagascar. Even though scientists once believed them to be the ancient ancestors of our modern sloths, Gondwanatherians are now known as a separate failed evolutionary experiment leading to their extinction around 4.5 million years ago, according to lead study author and vertebrate paleontologist Dr. David Krauss. The study examined the fossilized skeleton of Adoletherium hui, found in northwestern Madagascar's Maverano Formation. Weighing less than 3.2 kilos, the species was roughly the size of a modern house cat, yet it was much larger than most other mammals of its time. While the animal somewhat resembled a modern badger, which may not seem very exciting on the surface, it was an anomaly of the ancient world. Adoletherium hui was equipped with a more sensitive snout than any other known mammal, which had a large hole on the top unlike anything ever seen in another animal. It had extra vertebrae, a strangely curved leg bone, and teeth that were very unique to the species. The study reveals that Adoletherium hui developed its bizarre features over a 20 million year period after Madagascar broke off from Gondwana, leading to noticeable differences between the species and mainland Gondwanatherians. Number 3. Antiosaurus. Somewhere between 265 and 260 million years ago, during the Permian era, a huge pre-mammalian reptile called Antiosaurus roamed what is now Africa. Known as a dinocephalian, it existed even before the earliest dinosaurs evolved. Equipped with the thick crocodilian tail and a gigantic skull with a powerful jaw and bone-crushing teeth, this rhinoceros-sized creature was long believed to be sluggish and slow due to its size. Researchers theorized that it killed its prey by ambushing or scavenging, and that it was only capable of thriving in an aquatic habitat. Scientists challenged these notions earlier this year in a new study, claiming that the Antiosaurus was a fast and efficient hunter. Using X-ray imaging and 3D construction, the team thoroughly examined the animal's skull and discovered that its inner ear, which is responsible for maintaining balance, was larger than its relatives, indicating that it could swiftly outcompete its rivals and prey. Contrary to what experts had long assumed, Antiosaurus was a quick-moving killing machine, with the ability to strike effectively, giving it a major advantage over other creatures of the time. Discoveries like this prove just how much we still have to learn about the ancient life that predates modern species. Number 2. Arctic dinosaurs. Around 70 million years ago, at least 7 dinosaur species laid eggs as much as 400 kilometers north of the Arctic Circle in what is now northern Alaska. Discoveries of their fossils in a place that would have forced them to confront cold weather are challenging the long-held misconception that all dinosaurs are cold-blooded. This is the farthest north scientists have ever found dinosaur eggs, and their presence suggests that the creatures lived in the area year-round. To survive months-long dark periods in the Arctic, they would have to have been warm-blooded, or endothermic, meaning they at least partially possessed the ability to warm their bodies through internal functions, according to lead study author Pat Drucken-Miller. At the time, Alaska was warmer than it is today, but it still saw snowy winters and below freezing temperatures, conditions that scientists typically do not associate with dinosaurs. These discoveries are further opening the door of an existing discussion about dinosaurs who spent winters in the Arctic. Number 1. David Attenborough horseshoe crab. Today, there are only 4 known horseshoe crab species, but rewind a few hundred million years and there was a vast array of horseshoe crabs that came in all different shapes and sizes. A newly published study describes Attenborough limulus superspinosus, an extinct species named after the nature documentary host Sir David Attenborough, who is famous for his conservation efforts. The creature was one of many distinctly bizarre horseshoe crabs that lived between 250 and 200 million years ago, known as australimulids. Writing for The Conversation, paleontology artist Katrina Kenny explained that Attenborough limulus superspinosus lived in marginal marine environments marking the border between land and sea and freshwater habitats. This is in stark contrast to today's horseshoe crabs who live almost exclusively in marine environments. Discovered during research trips to Russia's Ural Mountains in 2018 and 2019, the species was likely a bottom dweller that ate whatever it could get its claws on. Scientists are unsure why australimulids went extinct, but they believe it had something to do with their proximity to fresh water, where other creatures were simply better cut out for survival. 2 of the remaining living species are considered endangered and could also soon be wiped off the planet, albeit for a vastly different reason, namely human activity. The recently described fossil represents just one of a dozen species that are named after Sir David Attenborough, which includes a marsupial lion called Microleo attenboroughii, the dragonfly Asimosas attenboroughii, and the flower Blakea attenboroughii, just to name a few. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to learn about more prehistoric creatures, including those who have survived into modern times, let me know in the comments below and be sure to subscribe. I'll see you next time. Bye.